Welcome back to Yale CS Tutorials. My name is Lukas, and a few weeks ago, my friend Juliana sent me this post on Ed that says, "Yo, shout out to that man Lukas on the YouTube videos, ... Where is he now?" And first of all, thank you for the shout out. Nothing makes me happier than knowing that these videos are continuing to help people. And where am I now? Well, I graduated a year ago and unfortunately cannot be a CSTA anymore. But I think it's a good question. Maybe more broadly, where are Yale CS majors a year after graduating? So I rounded up a few of my friends and try to get you all an answer to that question.
Hi, my name is Ileana Valdez.
Hi, I'm Reese Wynn.
Hey everyone, I'm Vivek. I graduated from Hopper College, class of 2021.
2021, I was in Pauli Murray.
I was Pauli Murray, class of 2021.
And, my major was electrical engineering and computer science.
CS and SNTS.
I majored in computer science, but I got a certificate in Spanish.
I live in San Francisco.
I live in DC.
So Dropbox is virtual first, which means I've been able to live all over the place. I think since I started working, I've lived in 7 different locations. Right now I'm stationed in Seattle, but soon I got approval for my team to work from Thailand. So the possibilities are endless.
And what do you do for work?
I currently work on early stage venture capital at a fund called 8VC, doing investments in data infrastructure and infrastructure software.
I currently work as a software engineer at Dropbox.
Meta, and I work in our privacy org. So flexing those good old CS muscles. I work for a team called Privacy Understanding and Code, and we are the team responsible for looking through all code changes that run through the company. And we have a detection suite that runs on all these code changes in order to figure out what is and isn't privacy sensitive and make sure that we're meeting all of our commitments to our users and government agencies.
What do you like about your work?
I think you have the chance to meet some of the best entrepreneurs in the world and learn like best practices on how to start an early phase company and make outsized impact. And you also get an unfair view into where the next 3 to 5 years of software is headed.
Of all of the types of work you get to do in electrical engineering and computer science, that I was most passionate about programming and the systems programming side of it. And this job lets me do that. I get to understand a lot more about the architecture of the company and the ways that we're writing code. And these are the things that I really liked when I was in school, and I'm glad that I get to continue using them.
Well, so at Dropbox, you're basically allowed to pick your team. So currently I'm working on a startup team called Dropbox Shop. And I like that literally every single day, my manager is like, "So what do you think about our product?" And I get to like immediately act upon what it is that I think about it to improve our product and kind of like help push the vision forward. So I think I'm really lucky that I get to ideate on a vision and build out what it is that we come up with.
Is there anything you dislike about your work that you change about it?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you have to accept if you want to go into venture is that everything is constant context switching. So I will have a meeting about a defense AI company and then immediately have to switch into all hands on deck portfolio support for any like a company that's asking for biz dev help, and then context switch from that into a bunch of internal thesis work. So like at VC, you have to accept that and like work under those boundary constraints.
I was very skeptical when I came into the company about working for a large company, especially one that's under so much scrutiny. But I'm glad to be able to be a part of something that is hopefully trying to alleviate some of those negative connotations that we have with Meta or Facebook or whatever you may have it. If I could have my choice of anything I would like to do differently, I would love to get back to some of the hardware side of things that I was able to study in the electrical engineering side, although I was primarily a computer science major.
So Dropbox is a fully remote company and I'm a new grad, so I just graduated. So it's definitely been tough trying to find those in real life connections with people working as a completely virtual first engineer.
What is a typical day for you like, or what do you do? How do you bucket the different tasks that you might be working on at any time?
Yeah, there is no real typical day. I think you could bucketize work into three big buckets. The first one is just everything around due diligence. And what that means is you are evaluating companies on whether to make an investment in them or not. And due diligence has many phases. It has the first pitch, where you get to first meet the entrepreneurs and learn about the company. It has, like, in my case, technical due diligence. So evaluating like core developer products against other core developer products in the same space and making a product and tech judgment on whether they have built things better or worse or more differentiated from others. And there is financial diligence, and this really happens more mid and later stage. So when we look at Series B, Series Cs, and even some Series A's, we're going to do a lot of modeling on what different exit scenarios look like, how growth of recurring revenues is happening over the past 2 to 3 years, and how it looks like for the next year and year and a half ahead. And more longer term outcome-oriented planning, like if this thesis is true, what will budgets look like for this software in 5 to 10 years? And then there's like a lot of the due diligence process is also getting to know founders. And ultimately, every early stage investment should be a bet on the founders, because that's like the highest variance thing going into a company, right? And then the second bucket of work is portfolio support. So we have like 25 odd investments, 25 to 30 investments under this specific purview at the fund. And we have to help those companies succeed. So this is doing everything from business development, so helping make intros to CIOs, CDOs, potential purchasers of the software, to doing product validation and helping them do some customer discovery or use case discovery, and all the way over to just like helping them do PR and marketing and get their name out there. And when it comes to companies that are successful in trying to raise new rounds, we will go out and help them raise those rounds. And that's part of our duty. And then the last bucket that I've been spending a lot of time in recently, because it's so important for us in our portfolio, is actually talent. And I think right now there is no real moat in software. Like, you can't say that you have a product moat or a tech moat. Everything comes down to a talent moat. Like, some of the most successful data infrastructure companies have not had pure technology moats. And the ones that have, like, there are examples of ones that have had pure technology moats that haven't succeeded because they haven't been able to hire. So yeah, we spend a lot of time there, campus talent. So I'll come back to Yale, meet a bunch of smart folk, and also go build strong networks of operators at early and mid-phase companies that are doing well, that we would like to either hire from or learn from.
Yeah, so one of the things that I really like about working in big tech is you get to set your own hours as a software engineer, as long as you're there for the normal meeting hours. So I actually get to start my day closer to 10 p.m. than 7 a.m. if I were a trader or something like that. So I usually start my day around then. Starts off with the usual businessy things. You're going to have to check emails and make your morning coffee. But after that, it usually just goes into hours of trying to get as much code checked in or code reviewed or to handle design meetings as they come up. The general goal in big tech is not to be bogged down in pointless meetings. So I'm certainly grateful to be able to actually work on the things that I care about.
Day in the life as a work from home engineer. Basically, I literally wake up, I walk to my desk, I turn it on, I sit there, I code, I respond to messages, then I'll take a walk around the neighborhood, grab some coffee, I'll expense it with my wellness stipend, come home, do some more meetings, usually talk to a few people, but really mostly code. Around 3 p.m., I'll either grind really hard or simmer down and go for another walk. There's some days where I get to go into the office, but I think 99% of the time, that's what my day looks like. It's work from home.
how did you get your job? What was your strategy your junior, senior year of college? And what was your interview process like? And how did you make a decision?
Very non-conventional process. I met the ABC folks on a visit, on one of their visits to Yale. There are two people on the investment team. So Sebastian, who does healthcare investing, and Bhaskar, who runs the data infrastructure practice, who had come to campus because they were both Yaleys. And I had the good fortune of meeting them on campus. They convinced me to take a leave of absence and come out and work in San Francisco for them. I did that and I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Then I went to one of our portfolio companies for a while and was a software engineer there. The company is called Yugabyte. ABC led the Series B there. They're building a distributed database, and I got to work on really hard distributed systems problems and problems on the storage tier. So dealing with synchronization and all kinds of memory constraints. And then after working there for a bit, I decided that I would come back to ABC full-time and kind of explore a bunch of different areas in the infrastructure software stack and figure out where I want to invest the next 3 to 5 of my years of my life in, whether it's starting a company or joining something early phase.
When I came in, I actually wasn't a CS major, but once that got hashed out my freshman year, I started applying to whatever tech companies that I had heard of, and mainly the ones that were closer to home. So I interned at a smaller, it was a still 7,000 employee company back down in Carolina. And so I interned there for my first summer and was able to get a lot of really valuable skills, even though it wasn't your Googles or Amazons or whatever. Was able to get a lot of really great insights on how large companies are run, the tech stacks that they use, and meet some really talented engineers. I made some connections during working there, found out what companies people tend to like to work for, and then reached out to some of my friends at Yale that worked at these companies, including one of the people that I was in CS201 with worked at Facebook at the time. It wasn't Meta yet. And I asked him if he would refer me to the company, and along with a couple other companies, did the usual tech interviews. There's the Cracking the Coding interview book, which I'm sure everyone has heard of at this point, but it really is worth a read if you're worried about your preparedness for those. Handled that, got all of my language proficiency back up to snuff, which I'm sure we all know how that is, and interviewed with all these companies. Ended up deciding that I liked the work that I'd get to do with Facebook the best. They allow you to choose your own team, and you get to kind of decide where you want to spend your time working there, which I really appreciate. And after that, I interned there and continued interning there. But throughout the process, I was interviewing with other companies, checking out what other job offers were like, and figuring out what I had a passion for. And anyone who is in these shoes in the CS major here is going to have a ton of opportunities that they can consider, and really should pick something that they're passionate about. But in the end, being able to choose what I was going to work on really was the most appealing to me. And that's how I ended up, just went with the return offer.
So I started the recruitment process my freshman year. So it started with my first technology career path, started with Google's program to kind of help introduce minority students into the tech recruiting process. And from that, I was able to learn how to kind of connect with Dropbox my sophomore year. So I did Dropbox's internship for sophomores, and then kind of kept interning with them. I did recruit along the way. So I recruited for junior year, got a couple of offers there as well. And honestly, the biggest thing I can tell you is to talk to recruiters, because that's the best way to get your foot at least to a first round. And then first round and beyond, honestly, you just need to leak code and practice your coding interview skills, because all of the interviews are pretty standardized. So as long as you're studying, it should go pretty well.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about what you see the next 5 years looking like for you?
Yeah, I think it's one of those two options. I'm essentially using this as information alpha and trying to find a good opportunity to jump into as an early founding engineer or to start my own company.
come on, man. This question is hard. I think one of the greatest aspects of computer science is you get to decide what that is. It's not a clear-cut answer. Like, you have to go into management in order to progress. You can continue being a software engineer, designing cool things or making startups or whatever it is you want to do. Let your passion drive that. I don't know where I want to be in 5 years, but the door is open. So I'm just going to keep my eye out and see what sounds like fun.
What do you think about being at Facebook for another 5 years?
I can see it. I feel like the org that I'm working in, specifically working in privacy, maybe I'm just trying to convince myself of what we're doing, but I really do believe in the mission and trying to do at least some good work. And I think that the types of problems that are there are interesting and challenging as resources become available and we pivot to new machine learning models for detecting things in code. That's really exciting to me. So I can totally see myself staying at the company, or who knows, I could go work for Oculus and come on, VR.
When I was in college, if I had answered the question, where do I see myself in 5 years? I'd be like running a startup. But now that I'm actually here in the workforce, I don't know. My horizons have broadened so much more. I'm like, do I want to be a professor? Like, do I even really want to run a startup? I don't know. Like, honestly, what I've learned is you just got to go with the flow. I'm not sure if where I see myself in 5 years is being a manager at my company. Like, do I want to stay in the corporate like cycle for that long? I don't know.
What do you do outside of work?
Not a lot right now. Yeah, I've been traveling a lot, both like mainly for work, but when I'm there, I get a chance to do other things and see interesting things. I was just in India twice this year, partially to go see companies there, but I had a lot of time on my own. And then I've been all over from New York to Austin and like all over the East Coast too when we make trips out there. Outside of that, I have been doing a lot of sim racing. I built myself a sim rig as soon as I moved out to SF.
What's sim racing?
Simulation racing. I have my own racing rig. It's like supposed to resemble like real life performance driving.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I play like F1 racing there.
I'm an avid pickleball player now. Like, this is a really new thing. Yeah, feel free to laugh at that one. No, it's actually a ton of fun. But the work-life balance in tech is another one of the reasons that I was so drawn to it. When the day is done, it's 6 p.m., I'm done. So at the end of the day, if that's trying out cooking a new recipe, I think we're going to try and make some ramen tonight. I don't know how to do that. Or going to play pickleball, going for a hike, that kind of thing, it's available. And the big tech jobs are usually in the cities, so the world's your oyster, I guess.
So I work on the computer so much that when I'm outside of work, if I'm not working on a startup or something along those lines, I try to stay away from my computer. So whether that be like teaching, volunteering in my neighborhood, and recently I joined a crochet club, which consists of a bunch of grandmas. So I go and like make hats for people there. So honestly, it's just like whatever it is that I can find around the neighborhood. I have a lot of free time and I don't always want to be glued to my computer or my house.
Any other advice for Yale CS students?
My advice for Yale CS students is that Yale CS is hard. And I have never encountered anything as hard as what I did throughout the Yale curriculum in my real day job. So please do not give up. If you do badly on a test, if you do badly on an assignment, it's fine. I promise you that in the real world, you will kick ass. And like, you will probably be one of the smartest people in the room, even if you don't feel like it in the major. And that's coming from me, who often felt like the dumbest person in my friend group, or like I wasn't capable of like finishing X, Y, or Z class. I'm looking at you, computer vision, but now I have a very successful career and like things are going well. I'm progressing through the ranks, as you say. So all I'm saying is like, Yale doesn't define your actual career. Your Yale grades don't define your actual career. So have fun.
Yeah, I think the primary advice I'd give is to actually try an early phase startup as one of their internships and get a sense of like whether you vibe with the culture and the sense of responsibility and the type of work that gets done at early phase startups. I know there's like high variance, but like it's worth trying once, and you should make sure to do your diligence about which early phase company that you decide to join, and not just think, hey, I got an offer from this place, they have a lot in funding, I should just go there. Like really think about who funded them and like how well respected they are, and like ask your friends and ask other Yaleys who are working there like how their experiences have been, and spend a lot of time trying to like get to know the company and their values.
I think the best advice I could give would be to lean on the other students that you're around right now. Particularly a lot of the friends that I made in CS 201 stuck through even post-graduation. And I was able to get a lot of great advice, career advice, life advice, and even just learn about new things within computer science from these people. Lean on them because they're going to want to lean on you. It's definitely mutually beneficial, and you're going to learn a lot that way. Also, take operating systems. I heard a lot of negative things about the difficulty of that class, and oh my God, was it my favorite class I've ever taken. It straight up is magical. I really hope Xiao is still teaching it, but that class, I mean, knocked my socks off.
So I hope you found that a helpful overview of what some of my friends are doing a year after graduating from Yale with CS degrees, from a variety of different jobs at different size companies and different roles to a variety of outside of work interests in crocheting, pickleball, and sim racing, as well as many other things, I'm sure. Not to mention the variety of CS jobs and that I didn't get to include in this, like going back to school to do a master's or a PhD, or going into trading, or anything else that I'm forgetting. If you have any questions for the people in this video, feel free to put them in the comments, but I also encourage you to reach out to alumni of Yale or of your dorm and ask them questions about what their careers are like on LinkedIn or wherever else you might find them. My greatest advice being that I think it's really helpful to start thinking early about what type of career you want, and to take a second to pause after each of your internship experiences or classes and say, what did I like about this? What didn't I like maybe? Maybe racket is the answer for one of those questions. And then use that to inform how you go forward, what classes you take, what new internship experiences you pursue, and what type of career you want for yourself. As for me, I spent 6 months after graduating as a software engineer at Amazon, decided that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do with my whole life. So went to another position where I'm trying to keep a lot of doors open for the future. I work as a consultant at McKinsey, where I work with different organizations, universities, nonprofits, businesses, and government entities on their strategy, operations, and whatever else. Learning about a lot of different industries and figuring out exactly where my talents and passions will take me. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. And if you did just finish CS 201 at Yale, congratulations. You never have to use Racket again. Until next time.
It's good. It's good. It's a ton of fun. It's like easier tennis. And because it's easier, you're more likely to get some longer volleys in, and then the games go on longer. I feel like when I play tennis, it's like serve, I miss it, and then that's it.